because Jung realized that this way inwards, this way into one's own unconscious, is what Jesus actually symbolized for us, which is the way of the cross. The church is still alive. Jesus' teachings is still alive, but the church is under a terrible attack, because what is now being taught in the church is not what the message really was. The message of the cross was the way inwards towards realizing that the shadow or the unconscious is in me. And the cross is actually the opposites, and which is the paradox, and it's the extreme difficulty to contain the paradox by a confrontation with one's own shadow or unconscious. And what happens is that the ego, which is the self that descends into a high level of density, due to which it experiences the world as separate, and of course with as result that the evil is seeing as out there and as real. Now that ego is the great mystery, because without that we would not have self-awareness, but that ego has to walk that way of the cross towards crucifixion, which means towards a sacrificial death of the ego and a rebirth towards an expanded sense of self. The ego dies when we become aware that everything is connected, and the building block is not a block, it's a field, it's a relationship where we become aware that there's nothing is loose from me. If I am in a situation where I am being attacked and threatened, it's because I have in some way generated that. So the resurrection of this ego to this higher center in the self is the awareness of the person that everything is connected. What I see is a projection, and that turns into an interaction. Everybody is exposed to terrorism in their life. Those are the attacks that we unconsciously generate. And the way to reset that button, the reset button, is to say, I am teaching people how to treat me. Hence, I cannot change the other by addressing the other. I change the other when I change. I change the other when I change. And this is very, very difficult and important, because the ego is that contracted, dense particle that really believes that the evil is out there.
Okay, how is this different from somebody that eventually gives in to the other, like a form of submission and saying, okay, I'm not going to fight the other, I'm just going to give him his way?
Right. Well, that's part of the misconstrued story that people would say that Jesus would say that if someone hits you on your face, turn the other cheek. And that was not, again, once we've pinned down the true message. What Jesus meant by the so-called turning the cheek was do not be reactive towards the other. Do not let the other determine your behavior, which is simply that part of that resurrection towards a more complete self, which is what you call a self-contained self, and which is a self that is not a football or a ping pong ball that is constantly reacting to the surrounding, reacting to the projected threat on the surrounding. And mind you, what I am saying is that these projections become interactions, yes. So if you are projecting the threat outside, it will play that out with you. You will be attacked. But you cannot change the attack by trying to destroy what the other. You change the world when you change yourself and the way you look at it. When I stop projecting and attracting the other into this projection, there is no other. You see, and this is why the great master himself came to show us this, because it was foreseen that if this planet would not walk that way, and if we would remain stuck in this dense ego, the ego that believes that there is an external evil to itself, that we would eventually destroy the planet in a nuclear war. So this was the message, and now we realize that if we do not, we must involve the whole world in a project towards a new self-concept, a self-concept that is field-like, inclusive, aware that there is no evil external to us. If not, we would create that evil outside of us. You see, there is no evil. What there is beings that descend to such level of density and that experience themselves so separate from everything, that project their own shadow on everything. These beings are able to do evil, but they are not evil. You see, this is very important. There is no evil out there. There are beings that can descend to very dense levels, and that then conceive of either holy wars or just wars. You see, the other side sees its aggression on the other as an holy war, and we see it as a just war. But there is no evil. Nobody is evil. No being is evil. There is no evil as such. We project it when we are not aware that it is in us.
Is it some kind of a deception to try to contain two paradoxes like having a just war?
Exactly. You see, that's
Is it a paradox?
That is. It's not a paradox.